Hello and welcome to the first of what I hope is going to be a number of recordings of Godtear games on this channel. What we've got for you today is myself versus Alex Johnson of the firm. We are playing a 3v3 game of Chaos, which you can probably see if you're eagle-eyed that it's been set up wrong. The track on the side is wrong, but we fix that, don't worry. In the end we get it right, and you can see in here that we have got myself, I'm playing Rattlebone, Blackjaw and Kira, and Alex is playing Lorsane, raith'marid and Half-Tusk. And we did the roll-off, and because of the way that Godtear works at the moment, if you win the roll-off you have to go first, so Alex ends up winning the roll-off and he has to go first. Alex first takes Half-Tusk and the Troglodytes and he places them out on the right hand side of the screen as you can see it. I then place Rattlebones with the vast majority of her hexlings right next to her in the middle, but one hexling on the far left and far right of the screen. Alex places Wraith and the Splashlings towards the middle of the table for him, slightly over to the right hand side. Next I place Kira over on the right hand side with the Hexling and her dragons by the side of her. Alex's final model to go down is Lorsane, who goes over in the middle left-ish as you're looking at it with her rangers. And last but not least, I place down Blackjaw and his Reavers. I place them down in the middle, which ultimately means the hexling I put over on the left hand side of the screen is a bit on their own. So we're into Alex's first plot phase. The first thing he does is he activates his Splashlings who current up the board, and then they pass their next action, so they only do one action. Wraith then splashes, so he takes out one of his own Splashlings. He takes the evasion boon from that, which is an automatic thing that he can do, and then he undertows one of the hexes back from in front of him to behind him so that he has easier access to it. The Rangers will then activate, they will advance, and then they will put Blur on themselves, which gives them an evasion boon. It all becomes very quick fire at this point. Lorsane will then go, she will advance, and she will put Field Instruction on herself, giving her the damage boon. Half-Tusk will activate, he's going to advance up the board, and he's going to make a claim action, so putting his banner down in an objective hex, which scores Alex one step on the ladder. Finally, the Troglodytes will activate, they're going to advance, and then they're going to do a hop forwards as well, giving them an extra move. And that's the end of Alex's plot phase. So my plot phase starts off with Rattlebones. Rattlebones is going to advance up the board and be able to make a claim action, which will score me 2 steps on the ladder. I then roll the bones with the hope of getting a blank on the dice, but unfortunately I get a 1, which means unfortunately I get to do nothing. The hexlings will go next. They're going to attune magic, which means they can have a boon of their choice. So they are going to take the damage boon, and they will then also advance up the board. The Unburnt Reavers will then activate, they are just going to advance, and then the 2 that are stuck at the back, they will use Rush, which will allow them to move another 2 hexes and get in line with their 3 friends that are ahead of them. Next in this chain, Blackjaw will advance, and he will also make a very quick claim action, giving me another step on the ladder. I should note here that Rattlebones got 2 steps on the ladder earlier on because she is a Shaper, and that's their bonus points scoring mechanism. On to my last 2 lots of models. So Kira is going to be the next one to activate. She's going to do a Royal Blessing on the dragons, giving them the accuracy boon, and then she's going to advance. And finally, before the clash phase starts, we have the dragons. They're going to Draconic Rage, giving them the damage boon, and then they're going to advance. So at the moment I have 2 steps on the ladder in my favour as we go into the clash phase. So first to activate for Alex in the clash phase is Lorsane. She will make an advance at this point. She's not quite in range of Rattlebones, which is who he wanted to hit, and then we'll make a Mystic Arrow attack against Rattlebone. With an accuracy of 3, with against an evasion of 3 as well. This was a bit risky, but got the 3 successes, so that's enough to hit Rattlebones. With Mystic Arrow, he then gets to make 2 attacks. The first one, because she's got the damage boon, is a 6 dice attack, and that goes against my 3 armour. This gives him 4 successes, which does 1 point of damage to Rattlebone. But with Mystic Arrow, you get to make a second attack, so with 5 dice this time, because the boon is already gone, he makes a second damage roll, and this time this one does considerably better, ultimately doing 6 successes, therefore 3 damage goes through. Rattlebones is already down to just 2 health. So my Rattlebones now activates, and we'll put down Cursed Ground just to try and hold back some of the rangers, and then we'll ultimately advance backwards in order to save herself. She does roll the bones and gets a 1 again, which means I get nothing. Alex now activates his Mistwood Rangers, who will advance and then fire against Blackjaw. They are rolling 5 dice to hit, scoring 6 successes, meaning they easily hit his 3 evasion, and then they roll 5 dice for damage. That gives him a net of 3 successes, which is enough to put 1 damage onto Blackjaw. Blackjaw now has 7 health. So according to my notes here, it takes me 2 minutes now to procrastinate and work out what I'm going to do next. In the end, I pick the Unburnt Reavers. They're going to advance up, in essence, to sort of block the way for Half-Tusk more than anything else, but they'll also take a Cleaving Strike against raith'marid. They roll 5 dice to hit and roll 3 successes, which is enough to hit raith'marid, but then with 6 dice to do damage, they only manage to get 3 successes, which doesn't bypass his armour, so raith'marid is uninjured. Alex activates his Splashlings, who are going to do a recruit action. They copy, because of their ability, they copy the evasion boon from raith'marid, and then they tide Blackjaw. They roll 5 dice normally, but because of the Reaver's special ability, they're only able to roll 4 dice. They still manage to get 4 successes with that, which is enough to then push Blackjaw into a slightly more awkward position for me, because he now can't reach anybody easily. So at this point my Hexlings will activate. They are going to purge magic, moving all of their boons, which is currently just the damage boon, onto Kira, and then they are going to advance. At this point, Alex activates the Froglodytes. Alex is a relatively new player, and at this point he doesn't really know what to do with them, and therefore he just decides to pass. I now activate Blackjaw. He's going to advance forwards, and then he will use Fireball against the Mistwood Rangers. He's going to try and hit all 3. At the moment they have a evasion boon, so the first one, 5 dice to attack, targeting a 4 for evasion. I only get 3 hits and therefore miss. On the second Mistwood Ranger, I roll the 5 dice again and get 5 hits, that's a hit, and then the third Ranger, I roll 1 more time and I get 6 hits, that's hitting that one as well. Therefore I start doing the damage rolls. On the second Mistwood Ranger, the one that I hit first, I roll 4 dice, getting 4 damage, that kills the first one, and then on the second one I roll 4 dice again, I get 3 damage, this is enough to kill that one as well. This gains me 4 steps on the ladder. Alex activates raith'marid, who is going to Kersplash, taking out one of his own Splashlings, giving him the accuracy boon, and then he's going to do a lunging strike against Blackjaw. He's rolling 7 dice to attack against an evasion of 3, and he gets 3 hits, so that's a hit. He's then rolling 4 damage dice against my defense. He manages to get 4 successes, that's 2 damage past my armor. Blackjaw is now on 5 health. He obviously also moves Wraith forwards with the lunging strike. My young dragons will now advance up the board, and they will just do a bite against the Froglodytes. They are rolling 4 dice to hit because of the boon that they've got. They get 3 hits, which is enough to hit one of the troglodytes. They are rolling 6 dice worth of damage, again due to the fact that I've booned them up. This is going to roll 6 successes, which is more than enough to kill one of the troglodytes, and I will gain 1 step from this. Half Tusk activates and immediately does a 1 punch against the Unburnt Reavers. He's rolling 6 dice. It should be 8 because of Half Tusk's innate ability, which means that if he hasn't taken any damage, he gains +2 accuracy. But he still manages to get 6 hits, which is enough to hit the Unburnt Reavers. He rolls 4 dice worth of damage. This does enough to do 3 damage through, which is enough to kill the Unburnt Reaver and give Half Tusk a step up the board. Then immediately do a free 2 punch, which is the hit effect of the 1 punch ability. He rolls 4 dice to hit. Again, this should be 6 dice because of the innate ability. He still gets 5 hits, which is more than enough to hit. He rolls 5 dice worth of damage, doing 5 results on that, which is again more than enough to kill an Unburnt Reaver, and that is another step on the board for Alex. I then activate Kira, and with nothing really for her to go after at this point in the turn, and with the score pretty much over my side without any issues, I simply advance Kira around the back and then use Royal Summons to move her young dragons. So I win the turn by 4 steps. Thankfully, at no point in this turn has the incorrect placement of the warband tokens actually affected the score. Alex, at the start of the second phase, will place a hex next to Lord Sam and will make me go first. So at the start of my turn 2 plot phase, I advance Rattlebones and Claim, giving me 2 steps. I also roll the bones again and get nothing. My hexlings will attune magic and pick up the accuracy boon, and then they will advance. The Unburnt Reavers will recruit and then they will advance. Blackjaw Evil Eyes a Splashling. He is going to roll 6 dice for this. He gets 6 hits and places the Armour Blight onto the Splashlings. He then advances. Kira will advance, and then she will make a claim action, giving her 1 step on the board. The young dragons will Draconic Rage to give themselves the damage boon, and then they are going to roar at raith'marid. They have 5 dice for this. They roll 4 successes. Because Wraith has the evasion boon on him, that is stripped off from the attack action, still gaining a hit, and then he gains the evasion blight. So starting Alex's plot phase, the Splashings will recruit and then they will current. raith'marid will splash, cancelling out the evasion blight, and then he will advance over the top of Kira's banner. Losame performs a claim action, giving Alex a step on the ladder, and then using her ultimate to death blow against Blackjaw. She rolls 6 dice for this attack, getting 5 hits, which is more than enough to hit Blackjaw. Does an automatic 2 points of damage to Blackjaw. Blackjaw only has 3 health remaining. The Mistwood Rangers will recruit, and then they will blur. The Troglodytes will then recruit and advance. Half Tusk performs a claim action, giving Alex another step on the ladder, and then he will use the Footwork ability in order to gain the evasion boon. After the plot phase, I have got an advantage of 2 steps on the ladder. So at this point, start of the clash phase, I will activate Blackjaw, realising that basically if I don't, he's probably going to get himself killed. He will advance and then use his ultimate Firestorm. He targets the 2 Mistwood Rangers and the 3 Troglodytes, giving him 5 full blown attacks. Starting with the first Mistwood Ranger, I roll 6 dice, getting 5 hits, which is enough. The second one, same again, 5 hits, hitting that one. The first Troglodyte, I roll 7 hits, which is success. Second Troglodyte, I get 4 successes, which is again enough to hit that one, and the third one I get 5 hits, 5 successes, that is enough to hit. When rolling the damage, I then on the first first ranger to start with, 5 dice. I do 5 damage, which is enough to kill that one. On the second one, I roll 4 damage, which is another dead one. The first Froglodyte manages to survive, only rolling 2 successes there, so that one doesn't die. The second Froglodyte does die, taking 4 minus the armor, and then the third one takes 6 minus their armor. That is enough for Blackjaw to have gained 8 steps on the board, and it's at this point that I realise that the warband tokens are in the wrong place, because I would normally have gone almost all the way up to the top, but I can't because I had actually hit the warband limit, and that is only Blackjaw's second action. Because he's killed something, he gets a third. So I use Fire Axe here against raith'marid, 4 dice, getting 8 hits, which is more than enough to hit raith'marid. I roll 5 dice, 6 total results coming up, which ultimately, with the armor coming off, means raith'marid is now only on 4 health. Alex activates Lorsain and decides to go after Blackjaw. She will use Mystic Arrow to start with against Blackjaw. Rolls 3 dice and only gets 2 successes, which is not enough to hit Blackjaw. Alex then uses Snipe against Blackjaw. That's 8 dice to hit, 7 successes come up. Now that's more than enough to hit Blackjaw. She rolls 4 dice worth of damage. She gets 4 results off of that. This leaves Blackjaw on 1 health after subtracting his 2 armor. Alex will then use the free shoot and scoot to move 1 hex. I activate Kira, who's going to immediately use a Vicious Bite, targeting via the young dragon next to her, onto Wraith. It's 4 dice to attack, doing 2 hits, which is just enough to hit raith'marid. I'm then rolling 8 dice for damage because I've still got the damage boon from the previous turn. I get 5 damage results, and taking away his armor, this leaves Wraith only on 2 health. And Kira then advances. Alex immediately activates raith'marid, who's going to headbutt Blackjaw. That's 5 dice to hit. 3 hits are rolled, which is just enough. He then rolls 5 dice to do damage. He manages to do 4 damage in total. That goes through the armor, taking out Blackjaw, and that gives Alex 4 steps because of the takeout. He gets the free push on Blackjaw because of the headbutt, and then moves him 2 for the takeout, and then splashes and picks up the evasion boon. At this point I take a bit of a risk and I advance Rattlebone forwards. I'm hoping actually to set something up for the next turn. In the meantime, I'm going to use Deadly Curse against Lorsain. I'm only rolling 4 dice, and against a 4 evasion I'm probably not going to hit, but I actually roll 4 successes, so I do enough to hit Lorsain. I give her the accuracy blight in the vain hope of keeping myself alive, but this is a very risky move. I do 6 dice worth of damage. That only comes up with 2 results, so Lorsain only takes 1 damage. She's on 5 health. I then roll the bones and I get a blank face, which is what I've been after this whole time. Based on what is on the board and what I'm about to do with those boons, I just give the hexlings the armor boon. Okay, here's risky part number 1 for Rattlebones. The rangers are going to recruit, and then they're going to use fire on Rattlebones. They are rolling only 3 dice for this, but it could possibly go off. However, they only get 1 hit, so that means that Rattlebones is safe for now. So the Unburnt Reavers advance. This is my chance to take out raith'marid. They're going to use a cleaving strike against raith'marid. They're rolling 5 dice to hit, and they get 5 successes in total, which is enough to hit raith'marid. They're then rolling 6 dice worth of damage, and this manages to get 8 successes, which is more than enough to take out raith'marid. That gives me a 4 steps knockout and moves raith'marid back 2 spaces because of that. The Froglodytes are going to recruit, and they're going to advance. The Hexlings are going to activate and purge magic over to the dragons. They will then try a Hex Bolt against a Splashling. I'm rolling 6 dice and I managed to get 9 successes, more than enough to hit the Splashlings. They are going to get the Evasion Blight put on them. The Splashings will then recruit, and they are going to current. The young dragons then advance. They are going to use Fire Breath against Lorsain with all of the various boons that they've got. They are rolling 6 dice to hit. They get 4 hits, which is more than enough to hit Lorsain. They roll 4 dice worth of damage. They get 2 successes. This takes Lorsain down to 4 health. Lastly, Half Tusk is going to activate. He's going to one punch one of the Unburnt Reavers. He's rolling 6 dice, should be 8, to hit, and he gets 5 successes. He then rolls 4 dice worth of damage. This does 5 damage, which is more than enough to kill, and this gains 1 step on the ladder. Half Tusk then advances and then uses his free 2 punch against another Unburnt Reaver. This is 6 dice. I think this is right this time, should be 6 dice. It gets 9 successes, which is more than enough to hit. He's then rolling 5 dice worth of damage. That gets you 4 successes, which is more than enough again to kill one of the Unburnt Reavers, giving another step on the ladder. However, thanks to Blackjaw's ultimate, this has been more than enough for me to win the turn just by 1 point. So start of turn 3 then, and Alex is going to place a hex next to raith'marid as per the chaos rules, and then he's going to elect that I go first. So I immediately activate Rattlebones. The gambit has paid off and she's survived into this turn. She makes a claim action, gaining me 2 steps because she's the shaper, and then immediately ultimates. This basically puts a blight onto enemy champions that were within 2 hexes, and the number of blights you can apply is equal to the number of hexlings that you have nearby. Only Lorsain is within 2 hexes, but I have 4 hexlings in range. This means that Lorsain now has every blight in the game. I also roll the bones and get the blank that I want, and therefore I'm able to put the damage boon onto the hexlings. Kira advances and uses Regal Blessing on her dragons to give them the accuracy boon. The hexlings will use Attune Magic to gain the accuracy boon, and then they will advance. The young dragons use Draconic Rage to gain the damage boon, and then they roar at Half Tusk. This is a 5 dice attack, gaining 3 successes, which is not enough at this point in time to hit Half Tusk because he has the evasion boon. Obviously that is then cleared from him. The Unburnt Reavers will recruit and advance. Blackjaw rallies, an ability that only champions get, which basically resets their health to maximum and allows them to participate in the game again. He then advances. raith'marid will also rally, and then he'll make a claim action on the hex that's been put next to him, which gives Alex 2 steps. The Splashings are going to recruit, and at this point Alex couldn't quite work out if he wanted to use current with them or not. In the end they end up passing their second action. The Rangers will recruit and use blur. Lorsain will use field instruction on herself. Ultimately this doesn't give her the damage boon, but it does at least remove the damage blight. Lorsain will then make a claim action, which gives Alex 1 step. The Troglodytes will recruit, and then they will use Feel the Power in order to gain the armor boon. Finally, Half Tusk is going to activate. He's going to use Footwork to gain the evasion boon, and then Half Tusk advances. So just before the turn 3 clash phase, and Alex currently is 1 step up on the battle ladder. I start the clash phase with Blackjaw. He activates and immediately fireballs the Mistwood Rangers. For the first one he rolls 5 dice and gets no successes at all, completely missing. The second Mistwood Ranger in the hex, he rolls 5 dice and gets 5 hits. It's more than enough to hit the Mistwood Ranger, and on that one I roll 4 dice of damage and get 3 damage, which kills the Mistwood Ranger, giving me 2 steps. I then try and kick the Splashling that's next to him. That's 6 dice. I get 5 hits on that. He does 6 dice worth of damage, getting 8 successes, which is again more than enough to kill the Splashling. That gives me another 2 steps on the ladder. Wraith also gains evasion from a Splashling dying. Blackjaw then advances, moving backwards into relative safety. It's at this point that my luck really spikes, because Alex activates Lorsain, who does a snipe action against Rattlebone. That's 7 dice, and he gets 3 hits, which is more than enough to hit. But then rolling with 4 dice, he only does 3 successes on that, which is not enough to get through her armour. She's still alive. He then does Mystic Arrow with Lorsain, again against Rattlebone, rolling 3 dice to hit, only getting 2 successes. That's not enough to hit Rattlebone. Rattlebone somehow survives. The Hexlings then activate and use Purge Magic to move all of their boons over to Kira. They then Hex Bolt against one of the Troglodytes. It's 6 dice. They get 7 hits, and they use that to remove the armor boon that is on the Froglodytes. Alex activates the Mistwood Rangers, who will take the recruit action. They will then fire against Rattlebones. They're rolling 4 dice and they get 3 successes, which is enough to hit Rattlebone. They then roll 5 dice for damage because Rattlebone is already injured. They get 4 results. That deals 1 damage to Rattlebone, leaving Rattlebone on 1 health. I activate Kira and she takes the vicious bite attack against Lorsain through her dragon. She's rolling 5 dice and gets 5 successes, which is enough to hit Lorsain, especially with all of the blights. I then roll 8 dice worth of damage against Lorsain, who currently has no armour. This deals 5 damage through to Lorsain, immediately killing her, giving me a 5-point takeout. I then use her ultimate Firebrand. This does 1 damage to any enemy champions which are within 2 hexes of the dragons. This only hits Half-Tusk, but the idea here is to stop Half-Tusk having as big an impact on the game by reducing his accuracy. raith'marid will then be activated by Alex, and he will do a lunging strike against the Unburnt Reavers. He rolls 6 dice to hit and gets 6 successes, which is more than enough to hit. He then rolls 4 dice worth of damage. That gives him 3 results. That kills an Unburnt Reaver, giving Alex 1 step on the ladder. Wraith will then use Tsunami, his ultimate ability, causing a large number of my models to scatter around the board and out of position. I then activate the Unburnt Reavers and advance them forwards. From this position I'm now able to use Cleaving Strike against the Froglodytes. I roll 4 dice to hit and get 5 results, that's enough to hit. I then roll 5 dice for damage, I get 7 results. This kills a Froglodyte and gives me 1 step on the board. The Froglodytes will then activate. They are going to recruit and then just simply take an advance action. I activate Rattlebones, who is going to advance, and then use the Deadly Curse ability against raith'marid. I'm rolling 4 dice to hit and get 3 successes, which is enough to hit, automatically giving Wraith the Accuracy Blight. I then roll 6 dice for damage. I get 3 results, which bounces off raith'marid's armour, and I do no damage. The Splashlings will then activate, and they will recruit, and then they will current. I now activate the Young Dragons, who will take an advance action to raith'marid and then use the bite attack against him. I'm rolling 4 dice to hit and get 5 successes, which is enough to hit raith'marid. I then do 6 dice worth of damage. I get 6 results. That puts 3 damage through onto raith'marid. raith'marid being on 4 health now. It should actually be that they do an additional point of damage due to the hit effect on bite, but I forgot this at this point in time. Half-Tusk will now activate. He takes the regenerate action, and then Alex realises that he's not in a position to really reclaim the number of steps that I'm ahead, so he concedes the final action. When all is calculated and sort of added up, I end up winning that turn by 4 steps, which is enough for me to win the game, and that is where we end it. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Alex is a new player, so there were some points there where I think more experience with some of the models that he picked would have helped him, but overall I'm really kind of impressed with how this 3 that I picked worked together. Blackjaw won basically the game for me, but in being able to shut down Lorsain through Rattlebone and then the instantaneous and very quick damage that Kira can do, I was able to also get enough takeouts to win me the game turns in which I couldn't place my banners. So on balance, this team really functioned really well together. I know a lot of people view Rattlebone as being the weaker of the Shaper champions at the moment, and I can kind of see that in terms of raw output, but what she did was she guaranteed me the capacity to keep giving Kira the damage buffs and the accuracy boons that she normally wouldn't get. So there's a really powerful synergy there, which isn't required, it isn't a necessity. It's quite easy that the boons that are being picked up on the Hexalink could be redirected elsewhere, so she gives a lot more flexibility. and I really like that. It is entirely plausible that this would work just as well with somebody like Naya, who could also fuel up Kira and also redirect boons where necessary, but I really like what Rattlebones did in here. It's fair to say that Rattlebones' attack is not very accurate, but if you hit with it, it can do a lot of damage, and you have a little bit of area control as well, so I think Rattlebones really worked here. But the linchpin for me there was Blackjaw and his ability to massively outscore by taking out all of the followers that were on the board. As I said, I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully I'll be putting more of these together. They do take some time, I'm discovering, in just the sheer amount of editing that's involved, but hopefully I'll be able to get some more games in. If you're interested in playing me for a recording, then please let me know down in the doobly-doo underneath here, or by finding me on Twitter. It's @BigGrumpyGamer, and we can arrange something via those means if needs be. Thank you very much for listening, and hopefully I'll see you next time.